We have a 17-year-old girl who's passed away as a result of drinking this. At 17, I'm sorry to say this, but they do know better. Perhaps you're going to hate this video. Coach Greg, and in today's video, it's a rather sad one. We have a 17-year-old girl who's passed away. She's no longer with us as a result of drinking this. Alani. It's a pre-workout energy drink. It contains caffeine. In Canada, where we have stricter laws, it only has 140 milligrams of caffeine. In the United States, I believe it can have up to 200 milligrams of caffeine. Now, it isn't from just drinking one. I was told that she was drinking 6 of these a day. 6 times 200 is 1,200 milligrams of caffeine. That is a lot. The story is that upon her demise, the result of this, the cause was cardiomyopathy, and they're saying that this was because of consuming too much caffeine. As a result of all of this, her parents, they're suing the energy drink Alani for $1 million.
A family in Texas has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against a popular energy drink brand, claiming the drink is marketed toward teens and did not warn about the health risks.
Now, no amount of money in the world is going to ease their suffering. They're not going to feel good about this. If they got 1 million or 1 billion, they could have $1 trillion and they would trade all of it if she could have one more day on this earth. And so it's very, very sad. Now, she was 17 years old, a cheerleader, in shape. She wasn't abusing steroids. She wasn't taking SARMs. She's not on growth hormone. She wasn't a bodybuilder, but yet she still was taken away from us far too young. But is it because of Alani energy drink? Is it on them? Are they to blame? Should they be forced to pay $1 million? Now, some people are arguing that this is marketed towards kids. I mean, it looks pink. It's pretty. I could imagine a young person would be attracted to this. I see a little ducky here. I see another duck right here. And this is a balloon animal, I believe it's called. I could see a kid liking this. It tastes pretty good. I think they would be tempted to drink this. But here's the thing. Should they have a warning label on it? Now, the FDA, Health Canada, and so on, they've stated that you shouldn't consume more than about 400 milligrams of caffeine per day. Remember, that's in the entire day for health reasons. Now, does that mean that if you drink more than 400, 500, 1,200, which would be 6 of these in the United States, that is going to cause cardiomyopathy? I mean, I'm looking in Alter Ego, my new energy drink, and in a full serving, there's 390 milligrams of caffeine. And so essentially, it'd be like 2 of these in the United States or almost 3 in Canada. Should you have to have a warning label? On the Blue Lobster pre-workout, it says, keep out of the reach of children. And the reason for that is because you don't want a little baby to consume all this stuff. But what if they're 17? At 17, I'm sorry to say this. I don't want to have to say this, but they do know better. I was a school teacher. Kids know that they shouldn't be consuming ridiculous amounts of caffeine. Now, if she had suddenly passed away from over-consuming caffeine, it wouldn't have been from cardiomyopathy. It would have been from a ventricular arrhythmia. And so how can they conclude that this death was from caffeine? Where's the proof? Now, is it possible that she was drinking Alani's, but at some point she was drinking Diet Pepsi? Pepsi Max has a shit ton of caffeine. Regular Pepsi has caffeine. Coke has caffeine. There's caffeine in beverages like pop. And so how do we know it was all from this, but not partially contributed from consuming Diet Pepsi? Just because you open up their body and examine their heart and you notice a cardiomyopathy, it doesn't mean that that's what killed them. And what percentage of people do you think that would drink, for example, 6 of these a day or overconsume this or get Blue Lobstered? What percent of those people do you think are going to die? I know a lot of people, for example, the Trend twins, they overconsume caffeine, but they're still with us. I believe with almost certainty that she had a predisposition for this. And what does that mean? Her genetics simply gave her a bad card. Have we not seen elite level basketball players, soccer superstars in their early 20s suddenly falling on the field, unable to walk? from heart issues. Is it the fault of whatever energy drink that they had consumed? For those of you that says, well, they should have a warning. Monster energy drinks, they had warnings on the labels in the past. Don't consume more than 2 or 3, whatever. But do you need to? Are you suddenly going to get sued? If I don't put on this container, do not consume over 4 scoops a day. Can I then get sued if somebody dies? Now, there's something that I believe is worse for your body than caffeine. This is a poison. It's called alcohol. Okay, let's compare caffeine to alcohol. Which do you think is worse? Drinking your Starbucks venti? We watched Mepsigram used to consume 2 of those every single morning. Remember we traded lives for a day and I had 2 of her drinks? I was going crazy. I was literally ill. So much caffeine.
Yeah, it's starting to kick in now. I got a lot of energy.
But is there anything worse than that? What about 3 liters of champagne? Now, let me see what warnings are on this bottle. None. And so if I were to drink the entirety of this, as well as this Cartier bottle of champagne, which has no warnings on it whatsoever, and if I should then pass away from alcohol poisoning, can Mepsigram then sue the Nova Scotia Liquor Commission for having alcohol that didn't have a warning? You're supposed to know better. I mean, what's next? If you don't look both ways before crossing the street and you walk out and get hit by a car, could you then sue for $1 million because there's no sign saying look both ways before you cross the street? The argument about it's marketed towards children. Ghost. I'm looking at this character with the big eyes, and it says Warheads at the bottom here. It got a little ghost character and a nice symbol. It's green. Does one of these look more enticing for a 7-year-old to drink, or a 17-year-old, a child, a teenager, than any other energy drink? How can you say it's deliberately marketing towards teenagers just because it has a pink label with a balloon animal on the cover? Unfortunately, it's the parents' responsibility to teach your kids to say no to drugs. Caffeine is a drug. Is it as bad as alcohol, smoking weed, visiting your friend Molly, sniffing creatine, doing math? The list goes on and on. Kids are going to take stuff, and bad things are sometimes going to happen, but it doesn't make it the responsibility of who's selling it to say black box warning. Drinking a ton of caffeine, 5 or 6 of these a day, for years on end, in 1 in a million, it could do bad things to you. They shouldn't have to say this. It's too much. And so, although it's tragic, it's a tragedy, it isn't the fault of Alani. Every single pre-workout that is being sold, that includes myself, all of these, you can overconsume them, but that is on you. It cannot be the manufacturer's fault for selling you something. I mean, what if she had watched a Coach Greg video and said, wow, Coach Greg at Mepsigram, he's consuming the Starbucks cold brews. I want to try that as well. I want to eat what Mepsigram had in a day. And she then consumes 2 drinks of Starbucks cold brew. Could she then sue Coach Greg for having a video talking about drinking 2 cold brews? It's ridiculous. And so what's more dangerous? Tylenol, aspirin, or caffeine? Obviously, don't try this at home seriously, but what do you think happens when you take an entire bottle of aspirin? Do you think good things happen? And so, does aspirin need to sell it in individual packets? Because, well, what if a 17-year-old has a headache and says, well, I'm going to just take the entire thing? Could they then sue the aspirin manufacturer saying, well, you marketed this towards younger people, as she's only 17 and she swallowed the whole pills? She shouldn't have done that. I mean, at what point do you need to take your own accountability? Perhaps you're going to hate this video. Oh, don't you feel bad for the parents? Yes, of course I do. But it doesn't mean that it's the fault of the manufacturer for selling Alani with caffeine.
I am extremely sensitive to caffeine, and most of the time I can't even tolerate it.
Some people are more sensitive to caffeine than others, but remember, you're going to find this out very, very soon. You don't drink 6 of these a day and are very sensitive to caffeine. If you're sensitive to caffeine, you're drinking a diet pop and you're like, oh, this isn't good. You could perhaps get anxiety. I've coached several athletes who couldn't have any caffeine whatsoever. Other people, they're drinking caffeine and they're going to bed. Some people are fast metabolizers versus slow metabolizers. It's how fast the drugs can get in your body and get excreted. And if you're a fast metabolizer, it's not going to affect you as strongly. This is also prevalent amongst recreational substance users. And so, for example, when we had Clavicular, who overdosed on something that converted to GH ends with a B. Some people consume a little bit, perhaps 3 or 4 grams. They are then knocked out. They cannot stay awake. Other people could consume 5 times that amount, and they're fine. And so the same drug amongst 2 different people can have entirely different results. That is why with caffeine, for example, with this or with the Blue Lobster, you always start with the lowest dose that makes you happy. If you're trying to decide, should I take 2 scoops or 1, always take 1 or perhaps even just half. The reason I'm consuming caffeine is because myself and Marwan and HTLT, we are in a 70-kilometer bike race in 20 minutes. What you should be doing is saving your caffeine for when you need it. Are you going to the gym? Are you going to work out? Use it then. To get up in the morning, do you really need to drink caffeine to have the energy to consume breakfast? Really? Save it for later. And so if you leverage caffeine for prior to working out, it'll make it that much more enjoyable. You'll like the workout and you'll be motivated to do it again. It's a tragic story, but I don't think that they should be rewarded with financial gain for what happened. I don't think that Alani is to blame. I'm not telling you to not consume Alani. Any of these energy drinks, they all have similar amounts of caffeine. And so if Alani's seen as being faulty, I don't know what'll happen in court. Then to me, all companies could be liable, but I don't think that's fair. If you don't want to have caffeine and you still want to get some energy, GO2 max, you go and do your cardio, you have more energy, you feel better, you have more energy later in the day, you're able to go harder and longer. And so obviously I'm consuming this before all of my exercise, my workouts, as well as the Turk Builder Max and Turk Platinum. More energy, greater recovery. Train harder than last time. Code Greg, 15% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you like it. Don't forget to go to Algo RX to pick up whatever you need. Is it the GLP? Is it enclomiphene? Is it Cialis? Whatever you need, the peptides, get to Algo RX above board. It's from compounding pharmacies prescribed by doctors and much cheaper than, for example, America Health. Do the price comparison. And until next time, I am out.